And we also have Commissioner Rosen on the call as well.
Okay.
Yes, hello, thank you.
Do we,
Cleveland Horton, Cleveland Horton, Executive Director, present.
Yolanda Saunier, Deputy Director, here.
Glendora Hughes, General Counsel.
Nicolette Young, Assistant Director.
Candace Crenshaw, Education and Outreach Director. Good morning.
Do
Good
we
morning,
have-
Alicia. I'm sorry. Was somebody
No,
else?
go ahead. I said who
Okay.
else is left?
Yes, Alicia Bell, Civil Rights Officer Supervisor.
Anyone else?
We do have Kadian. Kadian, you want to introduce yourself on the call for the record, please? We can't really hear you, Kadian. I can hear you faintly, but can't really hear your voice a lot.
I'm not sure what's wrong with the computer, but Katie and Sinclair, Administrative Specialist.
All right, we can hear you a little bit. We know you're there, Kadian, so we got you. We got you.
Thank you.
She's our administrative specialist and our admin team, so Kadian Sinclair.
Have we captured everyone?
Yep, we got everybody.
Do we have any members of the public? I don't think
I
we do.
don't see any. No.
I don't see anybody, but I have to ask. Okay. Chairperson's report, I think we're gonna have to come back to that. Okay, staff reports.
Cool. Thanks, Commissioner Levitt. So good morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody is off to a great start this morning. Obviously we are still dealing with the number of the administrative changes that are happening as it pertains to civil rights, DEI, et cetera. We recently did receive guidance from HUD that we are still kind of conversing with internally to determine how we are going to respond if we respond to it. The guidance does change significantly. Our training funds, for instance, so typically we were getting around $3,000 per FTE, which is full-time equivalent, which is basically per position. HUD has changed that to a flat rate of $5,000 for each agency. So that is a significant change. So that's probably a reduction in training funds of about $50,000 for our agency. HUD has also, per their guidance, changed what they deem to be substantially equivalent. So as you all know, typically in the federal government, most agencies, and that will be for HUD or EEOC, had always been deemed to be substantially equivalent as long as your laws, your state or local laws, were not more restrictive than the federal law, right? The administration has changed that policy now, right? So before, the federal government was the floor. Now it appears that the federal government is making themselves the ceiling. So they have indicated that for those agencies who have broader protected classes, right? And that could be source of income, that could be gender identity, any of those protected classes that are outside of the 7 federally protected classes, then HUD is now saying that you are no longer substantially equivalent. So what does that mean, right? That basically means that HUD at any point in time could move to remove our agency from the FAT program. That hit to our agency will probably be somewhere close to $1 million, but I'll let Nicolette, who's the budget person, but I'm sure it's somewhere close to $1 million hit on the federal side if HUD is to move to remove us from the FAT program. So I've been engaging in conversations with our general counsel as well as other agencies across the country around how we're going to respond to this. There's supposed to be a scheduled FAP call between this week and next week for the FAPs to talk about how collectively we're going to respond potentially to this new HUD guidance. So I will keep you all updated as we continue to engage in those conversations. But it is very significant in the fact that the federal government is basically saying if you protect anything outside of what we protect, then we are going to consider you to be substantially equivalent. Not to make this a political conversation, but to notate though the political impact of this. Most of the red states only protect the 7 federally protected classes, right? Most of the FAFSA that are in red states, they stick to the 7. Most of the blue states outside of that go beyond the 7 protected classes. So you would almost have an elimination of most of the blue states who have FAPs. They would be potentially removed from the FAP program, which would be significant, not just to Maryland, but to all the other states impacted as well. So again, there is some ongoing concern and conversations around what would this look like. Now, HUD has not officially indicated that they are going to be moving folks out of the FAP program. But I would say, as many folks know, well, if that wasn't your intent, you wouldn't have put in the guidance, right? So I do believe in looking at what's happening. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and just making sure that we're prepared for this conversation when it does arise, and that we're prepared to move forward and respond to it accordingly. But again, we've had conversations with the AG's office. I know there is a conglomerate of AGs who are also having conversations around this HUD guidance to determine what should be the appropriate response. Obviously, our AG's office here in Maryland is a part of that conglomerate, and we have been in communication with them as well in reference to the impact to our agency. So again, I will keep you all updated with that. EOC right now doesn't have a quorum, right? So part of our concern is that once EOC does have a quorum, that EOC may potentially move in this same direction as well. And we'll need to ensure that we are prepared to respond to that as well, if that should occur as well. So these are probably the top two things that we are dealing with right now and considering and having conversations about to ensure that our agency is positioned to respond and to address it. I know that part of our response, obviously, we'll be working with the administration to kind of figure out what supplemental funds, general funds that we can get in the event that we do take a significant hit from the federal side. Again, especially when we think about our budget and what that means for us, these are the conversations that we're having currently. So the administration has assured our agency and other agencies alike that if there's any diminution in federal funds, that they will supplement those funds. But again, we want to make sure that that does officially happen in the event that we do see a reduction in our federal funds. So again, it's just a ongoing conversation that we are having. So I just wanted to update you all with that. And then if there are any questions about that, I'll take them at this time.
Cleveland, real quick, can you give us shed some light on like kind of how the precedence of this is very different, I believe. And when policy changes are happening at the federal level, don't they normally like go through a public process, especially public, like the Federal Register? Like none of
This is not normal.
Okay. So because I'm like, these things seem to be just being done and not vetted the way.
Yeah, it's a great question, Commissioner McKnight, but I'll say it's just a new ball game, right? This is completely different from anything that we've ever saw. So for instance, we were notified, every year we go to the IORA conference, right? Our agency supports the IORA conference. I sit on the board of IORA. For those who don't know, that's the International Association of Official Human Rights Agencies. So every year our agency supports IORA. We send staff to the training conference every year. So this year, the conference was, again, starts on a Sunday. We had a call with HUD on Tuesday. HUD indicated on Tuesday that agencies were no longer allowed to use funds for the IORA conference, right? So what does that mean? Well, normally, most rational folks know that if you got a conference that starts on Sunday, right, that all of your provisions for the conference have already been made, right? Travel, hotel, transportation, everything. HUD indicated on Tuesday that we could no longer use funds for the IORA conference, right? So every agency, including us, who had already procured those funds to use for the IORA conference and spent those funds, HUD was not going to reimburse us for the IORA conference, right? So there were a lot of conversations with HUD about that. There are, again, this part of our conversation now, as well as we continue to have this conversation in reference to how we respond to it legally, and to see how this is actually going to play out, because we had allocated and received approval from HUD directly to spend about $18,000 for the IORA conference. And we do have it documented in writing. And they pulled that away from us on Tuesday after we had already spent the money for the conference, where normally we don't request reimbursement until after the conference, because that's been normal practice. So there was no concern to do it ahead of time. HUD snatched the money back and said, no, we're not authorizing any agency to being reimbursed for any funds for the Aurora conference, because the Aurora conference no longer aligns with the priorities of the administration, is what the language that was used on the call on Tuesday. Just like issuing guidance. Now, I will say that HUD typically, when they make changes to the guidance, they don't necessarily have to go through the public comment process, right? But I will say that HUD has never made anything in none of the federal agencies to that regard a significant change this way that literally completely 180 degrees flips how they view substantial equivalency, right? It's never been a system that says if you do more than what we do, right, then we consider you not to be substantially equivalent. This is the first time, at least in my tenure working in the government, that the federal government has taken this posture. But again, I think we have seen little tidbits of it coming, but now it's here, right? Because there have been agencies who were saying, hey, HUD is pulling back from the emotional support animals, right? There have been a number of agencies throughout the country who were saying that their cases were sent back saying HUD is no longer going to approve those. HUD recently took down all the guidances they have for emotional support animals. So HUD is no longer reimbursing or paying for emotional support cases in fair housing, which is also significant to those who have disabilities, right? So again, this is another issue, right? So on top of that, we know that HUD has been very careful about gender identity, right? We know they've been coming after that from an EOC side as well as from a housing side, which is part of why they've included this provision around anything outside of the 7 protected classes, right? Because that is their way of getting to folks who do have gender identity, source of income, and criminal records, because those were the ones they even used as examples in the guidance, right? So when we take a look at what's happening to your question, Commissioner McKnight, we've never seen this before, right, to this magnitude, and we all are trying to figure out what is the best way for us to respond to it. Part of what we talked about at the Aurora conference was making sure that agencies are utilizing their voices and responding in a way, right, that's appropriate, whether it's through litigation or what have you, that we've got to be very strategic on how we respond to it, because it is going to be significant as we continue to move forward. But again, we just haven't seen anything like this before.
I would add to that response too, that the public needs to be made more aware of what these changes impact and how they impact the citizens of each of these states, because I don't think that's widely known, like just the impact of what that means. And I think that that's something that would be valuable for the public to know as well.
No, I agree. And if you all would like for us to send something out, right, we would, again, welcome to engage in that conversation around, but if you all would like for us to create something to potentially send out, that is something that we could prepare as well, if that's something that the commissioners would like for us to do.
I mean, I wouldn't get ahead of any litigation or anything that could be, I wouldn't want to do that, but I would keep in mind that there has to be some groundswell beyond just the
I agree.
interested offices, right? It has to be something there, but I wouldn't want to get ahead of any,
Absolutely. No, I agree.
litigation or anything, but yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner Rosen?
Yes, so thank you so much for that synopsis there of what's going on. And I appreciate you leading that portion of it and also your staff, because really we need to be prepared for whatever is going to be coming. So my question is, do you get any guidance from the government or from the offices about how to approach this kind of situation?
Yeah, so normally what happens is that there's a track call where all of the state agencies meet. We've been meeting ever since this new administration took office. We typically meet every other week to talk about the different changes. And obviously this is obviously one that's on the agenda now to kind of figure out how we're going to move forward. We typically, because to Commissioner McKnight's point, there's a certain level of legalities with this particular issue that we're trying to allow the attorneys to figure that piece out. So Our AG's office is working with other AGs to figure out the appropriate legal response to what's happening. And then they will provide us with guidance in reference to what we're going to be doing moving forward. As I also indicated, a lot of the agencies are meeting together to really talk about, hey, what are you doing? This is what we're thinking about, right? What is the messaging that we're going to be putting out so that we are saying a consistent message around these changes, not necessarily from the legal aspect of it, right? But just from a public information aspect of it to make folks aware of what's happening and the potential impacts to not just our agencies, but to public service, right? Because individuals coming into public service now will no longer be able to file certain complaints with the federal government. They all will be shifting to state and local agencies, which will create a backlog for state and local agencies to be able to respond to all of these with no federal support. The impact that it will be, again, on the disability community that no longer will be accepting these emotional support animal cases, which is going to be significant, not just for future cases, but cases that are already in the queue, that they will be resending and pushing back is going to be significant to those in the disability community. So really trying to format messaging that, whether it's coming from the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights or the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission or what have you, that our messaging is all aligned so that we're all saying the same thing. So we are engaging in those conversations as we speak.
And on the
Okay.
legal side, just to fill in, there are several groups, lawyers who are meeting to address this issue. There's the attorney generals from the blue states that are meeting to address the issue. In particularly our attorney general, there is a federal litigation unit specifically that was put together before the this administration came into power to prepare to litigate in cases that are contrary to what, particularly in civil rights. And then there is, I went to the Legal Defense Fund Civil Rights Institute this past week, and there are a couple of attorneys who are who have represented the FIPS, or the Fair Housing Initiative Program organizations, nonprofits like the National Fair Housing Alliance, where they were having their funds, grants pulled back and take it, and they are taking the interest in this attack on FAP agencies. The bottom line is this is a transactional. It's to take the money out of civil rights enforcement, and it also is they're taking this opportunity for the shutdown to gut the offices. So I just read an article last night where they have laid off or fired the large percentage of the Fair Housing Equal Opportunity Department. Out of all of the units in HUD that have been laid off or fired, the FHEO has the largest number of terminations. And so basically they've gutted that department. And now they go after the states so that there's no enforcement on the state level as well.
Now, even though, again, it is a significant situation, but I still want to remind everybody that we still have our protections. We're not going to be relaxing our protections. So folks still are protected through our agency. Our staff is fully prepared to accept any and every complaint that still comes through our agency. It may take us a little longer, but we are absolutely still going to make sure that every citizen in our state is still protected through our protections, whether we are getting reimbursed through the federal government or not. So we'll find a way to get it done. It is going to be obviously an opportunity for us to kind of figure out how do we operate in this new space with this new administration. But we do want to just rest assured folks and know that we are still the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. Our mission, our vision has not changed, and we still will make sure that folks are protected under our law here in our state. Commissioner Rosa? 1 second, Commissioner Rosen, I can't hear the interpreter.
Okay. So I wanted to follow up on Glendora's comment. Really, that's exactly right. With federal agencies are very one moment for the interpreter. Transactional. So I agree with you. That's really the problem. It's one serious challenge, and I appreciate your comment because myself and many people that I work with really are affected by the federal agencies who are so long not willing to enforce the laws with individuals with disabilities. Really, there's not much seen in action from that standpoint. So I really want to rely on the protection of the federal law and make sure that the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, that there's no enforcement to say really that we see more and more action without consequences. For example, I called a few agencies with telecommunication services in different institutes. For some reason, they've refused to accept a relay call, some of these institutions. And so that's obviously against the law, federal and state. And I called the DOJ and no one was home. And a lot of these institutions and agencies, a lot of individuals are having the same experience. So I appreciate, Cleveland, your comment that we're still handling this situation, and hopefully, and we'll see. Really, it's an important situation, and we have to figure out how to move forward. Thank you.
No, thank you for your comments, Commissioner Rosen. I think for me, that's why it's ever so important for us to focus on collaboration, right? One of the things that we've really been focused on for the last several weeks is partnering with any and everybody that we can, because we recognize that when we take a look at the environment that we're in, that we cannot do this alone, right? So it's important for us to be partnering with those advocacy organizations, those grassroots organizations, right? Those other state agencies, so that we know where the issues are, where the problems are, who has the issues, how do we help get these things resolved. So I know Candace and her team have truly been doing a Herculean effort to collaborate with just about everybody. I've been like, look, let's just go collaborate, right? And I know our team is tired because there are a lot of collaborations happening, but they keep at it, right? Because for us, in order for us to be able to move forward, we cannot do this work alone. It can't just be the Maryland
the kitchen
Commission.
door, instead of like walking through the driveway to her car, she like went to the gate and like went underneath the tree
Stephanie,
around the front of my car where it's parked up against the fence. And she was parked next.
Thanks, Candace. So when we take a look at where we are, it is going to be important for us to figure out how do we increase our collaborations, and we think as well that's where we're hopeful that our commissioners can be impactful as well, to let us know, hey, who do we need to talk to? Who should we be in collaboration with? I know Commissioner Prescott has mentioned on a number of different commission meetings in reference to who we should be talking to, who we should be collaborating with. And those are the conversations that we want to continue to engage in and figure out how do we increase our level of collaboration across the state, because that's really what we need right now, right? Because it's not just an issue that's impacting the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. These are issues that are impacting us throughout the entire state. And the only way that we're going to be able to get through this and continue to be able to provide a high level of service is if we figure out how to do it together moving forward. So that is what our staff is working on currently. But again, thanks for your comments, Commissioner Rosen. Any other questions for me? All right, seeing none, I'll just end my report by saying I know that we all saw the news yesterday that the hostages were released. I want to make sure that we get on the record, obviously, that we are pleased to hear of the agreement that allowed the hostages to be returned and reunited with their families. We are hopeful, just as everyone else is, that I think it's 28 or 27 deceased bodies will also find their way to be reunited with the members of their family as well, so that the members of their family can have closure and reference to that as well. But I did want to acknowledge the fact that the hostages were released. We're obviously relieved and happy that the deal was made and the hostages were reunited with their family. So I did want to take time out to acknowledge that as well. And with that, I will pass it off to Yolanda.
Thank you, Cleveland, and good morning to everyone. Cleveland did give the update from the federal aspect, and he did mention that, we're still open, we're still, handling all of our cases. And so we still are investigating cases. We still have intakes coming in on a constant basis. And so, thankfully for the community, the commission remains here to do the work and to continue to investigate the cases as they come in. The September marked the end of our EEOC contract period. We were contracted to do 547 cases, and we closed 547 cases. So that was a major accomplishment, a major feat for our staff. So thank you to Alicia and her colleague Maria, the supervisors of our employment unit. But we did have some of our staff from our housing units as well that jumped in and helped investigate some cases as well. And so, we look forward to, of course, at the end of the contract was when the shutdown occurred. And so we don't know, we haven't been able to speak to EEOC. We don't know if, all of those cases will be accepted, for credit. We haven't been able to have any other conversations, and so we don't know what our contract number, what our goal for this coming year. We are anticipating it to remain the same unless otherwise advised. So we're looking at maintaining that 547 case load. EEOC, I think that was already shared a few months ago, that any cases that one of the bases dealt with transgender, they were not given any credit, even if there were other bases. So we had some cases where it may have been transgender, it may have been race, and it may have been disability. And even though we were investigating all of those bases, because transgender was one of them, EEOC has declined to give any agency credit based upon the fact that transgender was part of that investigation. So we have internally pivoted. So when we do have that situation, we will have, there will be two cases that will accompany each other. So we have made accommodations internally to address that. So the cases won't be submitted to EEOC that has transgender as one of the bases we investigated. I think we shared last month that we have several open positions. And so we are continuing to I was about to say investigate. We continue to interview, but I guess it's sort of an investigation as well, of the candidates. But no, we continue to interview the candidates and hope to have a full team on board for our investigative unit, because I know we have several other units here that also are investigating and have vacancies. So the case processing unit, we have 6 vacancies. And so the benefit for us, not necessarily the candidates, but because of the federal government layoffs, we've had a number of federal employees who are applying for the positions, and the positions are entry-level positions, and, unfortunately, those individuals' time at the federal government got cut short. And so I think that we will benefit in getting all of that talent to possibly come to the commission. And the only other thing that I have before I open it up for questions is so Baltimore City during their Civil Rights Week does a annual civil rights breakfast. That breakfast is this Friday at 9 a.m. And we have 2 tickets that we wanted to make available for any commissioners. If you would like to attend, to please let me know, put it in the chat so I can make sure to get you the information for that breakfast. That is all I have. You've received the case process and data and information. So does anyone have any questions for me before I turn the microphone over? Hearing none. Is it coming to you, Nicolette?
Yes.
All righty, Nicolette, take it away.
Thank you, Yolanda. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you had a nice holiday weekend. Both Cleveland and Yolanda pretty much gave you my entire report. So I am happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
So, Nicolette, so
Yes.
if the HUD and then potentially EOC does cut back, have you gotten anything from the state as to what they might do?
So no, so actually right now the Department of Budget and Management, they have reached out to state agencies to find out what type of impact will occur in FY26 if we're not able to get reimbursements. This is new territory for pretty much all of us. But they are monitoring the situation. They are engaging with state agencies to find out what type of impacts that could occur in looking at worst case scenarios. So, I mean, of course, if we're not able to get sufficient funding from our federal partners, we will have to request a deficiency from the state in order for us to be able to maintain our, regular operations. But right now, we're just kind of in a kind of wait and see what happens approach right now.
Whoa, killer.
He had a lot to say. He had a lot to say about that report, Nicolette, and that money.
That's right.
The
exact same way.
only thing I wanted to add real briefly to Nicolette's report is, as we mentioned this last commission meeting, I believe as well, our RFP for our building move closes, I believe, on the 23rd.
Yes.
So we should know who has submitted proposals for us to potentially move to. We do anticipate that it still will be in this general vicinity in downtown Baltimore, but we will kind of update you all. The next phase of the next phase of this project will be for us to go out and look at the sites to determine which one will be most suitable for us and for the public to have access to us. So we'll continue to update you all as we go through this process. Now, I'm also not sure how with everything that's happening, how the move is going to be, if the move is going to be impacted by that, because of the fiscal impact. So as soon as we know or get any indication of either, we will update you all and let you all know that as well.
This is
Okay.
this is Commissioner Rosen.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. It just occurred to me. So another great issue is that we can't manage with immigration. is there any position on the situation with immigration, with immigrants, with maybe for their rights for many different things, with communication access, with information access? Is there any guidance on that from this office? I'm sorry to go off topic because it's just it occurred to me because there are a lot of deaf or other disabled individuals who have spoken with me who are afraid of the problem and not really sure of their rights. So does this office have any role in that? I see that Candace has her hand. Maybe she has information on that.
Yes, I would like to add to the answer to that question. So our office did collaborate with the Attorney General's office, and we created a Know Your Rights booklet. And in the Know Your Rights booklet, in collaboration with the AG's office, there is some guidance on immigration. Our office does not specifically cover immigration. However, we did collaborate with the Attorney General's office. And if you reference the Know Your Rights booklet on our website, then you can see that information. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And really, it's because the community in general is just so many people are just afraid and don't understand what to do. So I appreciate every action that we can take. Thank you for that information, Candace. I appreciate that and that collaboration.
Yeah. So I just wanted to respond to Commissioner Seward had two things in the chat. I don't know if you saw it, Nicolette, but
I did. I was going to answer the first one, and I'll let you all handle the second part. So, to be very honest with you and transparent, our current cost for rent is about $88,000, and that's because we have federal funds. If we were a fully general funded agency, we would not have to pay the state for any type of rent. But because we do receive a portion of our budget through other sources, which would include federal funds, we are charged based on that rate. So the current rate is $88,000 a year, and it goes up, a little bit with inflation costs each year. Now, in order for us to stay in this area, we have looked out, once prior to engaging with the Department of General Services about, looking for a new space, we did go out and, get several quotes. And it's going to be about between $400,000 and $500,000 just to stay in the Baltimore downtown area. So we would need to get additional funds from the state in order to be able to pay that difference in rent. They are aware of this. We have made sure that they understand that we do not have the money to be able to absorb an additional cost like that. So the state's going to have to help us if they want us to stay in this area. So I hope that answers your question. No, it would not be a savings measure. It will cost the state more money for us to actually move to a different location than it would for us to stay where we currently are, which is not an option, I don't believe, at this time, because this building has been sold. And I will let someone take over the next question.
And the building, so part of the thought process, at least initially, right, was that this building was so far beyond repair that it was cheaper to sell the building and move the agencies out of the building into other spaces than to make all of the necessary repairs that are needed in this building, right? So that was the thought process from the state. So before we signed off on moving forward with this process, we wanted to be assured that, hey, we can't afford it, right? So if you're moving us out of this building, we can't afford a $400,000 increase in our budget, that we needed some guarantees from the Department of Budget and Management that they would provide the funding to do so. So the real estate department followed up with Department of Budget and Management and were reassured that they understood our fiscal position, and that they would cover any additional costs related to shifting us over to a new location. So that's kind of where we are with that. And the second one, Madam Chair, in reference to national origin, we are looking at, when we think about immigration, and part of, to Commissioner Rosen's question, Any issues obviously that arise regarding national origin discrimination, we do accept those and we continue to accept those and move forward with bringing those complaints into our agency.
And also to build on that, when you say events, I'm not sure if you're referencing education and outreach events at all. But in the case that there are any areas that we don't cover, as mentioned earlier, we do collaborate with other agencies so that they can help. For example, Casa de Maryland, they visited our office during a lunch and learn, so it's possible for us to collaborate with them and provide information about the rights that we cover, as well as them providing information specifically around immigration.
And that was exactly what I was asking.
Thank
So
you so
thank you
much
for
for
that. I
that.
appreciate it.
Thank you. I believe it may be my turn.
You ain't gonna do it.
Again,
You all gonna do it. Y'all can fight about who gonna go first.
Ms. G's on mute, so I'll go ahead and let Ms. G take it home after. So, hello, happy Tuesday, everyone. You all have received my report. I do want to highlight that I mistakenly left out 3 trainings, and I just want to highlight that for you all to know that we were very busy and productive. But with that being stated, I want to also highlight how one of our main focuses right now for our agency around education and outreach is collaboration. So I do want to thank Commissioner Prescott. We connected and met about ensuring that our agency is informing small businesses about their civil rights and how that coincides with everything that we have to offer as well. So Commissioner Prescott has connected me with a few small business entities so that our agency, our education outreach unit, can provide training and guidance for those small businesses. So we look forward to just expanding our outreach efforts so that small businesses are aware of their civil rights and how we can help them, and to ensure that they are in compliance around around our laws. So we've also, education and outreach, we've also been collaborating with community colleges and universities. For example, we've given a presentation to Frostburg State University. We'll be going back out there next week. And also we met with Anne Arundel County Community College today. So we have been meeting with these colleges to ensure that we're providing Know Your Rights courses for their students. So it collaborates with their majors as well. With Anne Arundel County Community College, we're collaborating with one of their civil rights classes. So due to the fact that we're collaborating, they have money in their budget so that we can also do also host a listening session to get the community out and see what's going on. So again, we have just been really big on collaboration. This weekend, we will be hosting a community day with Baltimore City Office of Equity and Human Rights. And we also were able to get individuals out that are able to sign individuals up to be able to vote. So we'll be having voter registration. Again, that is not specifically under MCCR, but we did connect with another agency so that we can help provide this resource. So we're really focused on collaboration so that we can continue to enhance and expand our outreach so that other agencies and individuals are aware, because people are still unaware of Title 19 and Title 20 laws. People are still unaware of who to call to file a complaint. So we are just really focusing on our outreach and collaboration. That is my report. If anyone has any questions for me, now is the time. Also, you will receive an email this week about Winterfest details. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Just you have my reports, so I won't go through them. I do want to highlight a few things. One, getting back to the issue involving the various shiftings at the federal level. There is an organization that I participated in with this work group, their Cross-State Civil Rights Agency Enforcement Working Group. And this work group came into being the first Trump administration, 45. And that was to file suit against EEOC when they were blocking access to EEO1 data. and that originally agencies could get that EO1 data on any employer to assess whether there was a disparate impact or or like a commission-like action where it's more than just the individual. And they had basically shut off FAP agencies from being able to access that data with unless you only you could have access for a particular respondent. And so this group came together because California was going to file a suit against them for that data, and reached out to about 5 different FAP agencies to be able to sign on as amicus, file amicus brief. And we were one of the sign-ons for that amicus brief when they sued EEOC. What is also happening, and some of the discussion at the Legal Defense Funds conference was that EEOC is the administration is planning on not collecting that data any further, so that EO1 data will become a situation where it's not going to be updated, the data is not going to be collected, and it won't be of use. And that impacts being able to bring systemic actions. And also it's an attack on the disparate impact theory, which they want to basically eliminate. And that was also part of the discussion, is the attack on the disparate impact theory, which allows you to bring larger cases against institutions where the policy is neutral, but the impact is discriminatory. And that is under attack as well. This group is now looking at potentially another possibility of lawsuit, but also finding out where if the agencies are. There were about 10 agencies on the call, including, I think, the former EEOC chair, Jenny Yang, was on the call. And there is discussion about how they're going to deal with these issues. And the agencies, some of these agencies are different in different postures. Some have basically said they're going to give up their HUD contracts because they refuse to engage. Those are the agencies that probably have more funding from their state that fully funds them more, and the HUD contract is just a small percentage, and they have that option. And then you have agencies like ourselves, and I think like DC, who have a significant portion of the budget that's funded by the HUD contract. So there is discussion about how collectively to address this problem, and looking at in terms of what options are available in terms of challenging it. One is, got to wait till it actually happens. Is there harm to be done? And then you have similarly, the attorney generals are looking and at the issue as well to potentially bring up a class suit on behalf of FAPs. And then you have nationally, you have some organizations like the National Fair Housing Alliance, whose impact by their funds being cut, and now they're looking at the HUD state local agencies funds being cut, which basically wipes out the attempt to wipe out any responsibility or any addressing of discrimination in housing. And so I do have a call with a couple of attorneys from that that was helping and is helping the National Fair Housing Alliance about what their thoughts are and strategies on potentially litigation to challenge the irregularities. One of the things you talked about is that the memo itself is inconsistent, and it says may, and then it says we're going to do this, and then it says it's going to do that. And so part of it is to look at exactly what are they dangling. And then what makes it so unsettling in terms of strategy wise is that you have this shutdown and there's nobody there to talk to. And so you're trying to plan in anticipation of what will happen. And then you see an article that says that among the number of agencies that the administration said, well, we're going to fire them all and we're going to lay them off. You see this huge number of folks that have been that they have sent letters to fire or to lay off in the Fair Housing Equal Opportunity Division of HUD. So a lot of this is real-time movement, but there are folks that are gearing up to challenge this and not accept it as this is the way it should be. The idea, as we've seen on the litigation field, is that suits are being won in the lower courts. There be and when those executive orders and those illegal executive policies have been challenged. And part of it is just to see if people don't challenge them, and then they can just keep going forward. But the groups are gearing up to challenge these issues, and particularly this memo, because it does have a significant impact on the enforcement of the Fair Housing Act, which basically they don't want to enforce. That is, in a nutshell, my highlights. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Madam President, that is all of the staff reports. I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I want to open it up, and I apologize, everyone. It's been one of those days, I'm sure everyone understands, and has had them themselves. I want to open it up for any follow-up questions from the commissioners before we move on to new business. Hearing none, new business. One of the things I wanted to get everyone to opine on, since we're here, is setting the date for next month's meeting, since our date was scheduled to be on a federal holiday. Has everybody responded to the poll, and/or can everyone please let me know your availability? It's looking like the Friday date, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's looking like the Friday date might be the one with the most availability.
Which Friday? I'm sorry.
It is the Friday of the same week that our meeting would normally be, I believe. Hold on, let me go back and find it for you. I'm sorry.
I don't think I got, or I didn't see the poll.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. I didn't know this was a conversation.
Yeah, Spencer, I believe, I thought had sent it around. Yeah, rescheduling the November meeting. It was sent to the commissioners, and what we're trying to do is
Jimmy Sykes, you're coming.
either Thursday the 13th, 10 to 12, or Friday the 14th from 10 to 12.
I can't do either
Eileen
one.
says the 14th. The 14th works for me. If anybody has a conflict with that, please
So
just
I'm
let
gonna
us
be
know.
out that
Otherwise, we'll
week.
go ahead and schedule it.
Yeah, I'm going to be out that week, but if you guys need to go ahead, it's not possible for everyone to be available, but
course.
I'm not going to be in that week. So yeah, if you guys need to do it without me, I understand.
Thank you. We're just trying to be respectful of the holiday. Great.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So I sent, one moment for clarification. Stephanie, I sent you a private message. Can you just make sure that you read that? It was just a question that I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to put it to the General Commission here. But with the staff information there, I appreciate the monthly meetings, but I'm trying to understand if it's a requirement by the rules that we do have a monthly meeting. Okay, all right, I see there with the response there. Okay, so two reasons why I was asking that was, first of all, we want to make sure that the staff has time to use things successfully. You know, obviously respect the staff's time, and maybe we have different schedules and we can help with the commission and make sure that things are done regularly. In the past, the commission was so heavily reliant on doing work for MCCR, and I understand that that was previously, but now the staff, you know, almost all of the work is done outside of that. So I just wanted to make sure for me that the commission with the, you know, if we needed to have a quarterly meeting or you know, whatever the reason was that we needed to get together, but obviously to be respectful of the information that we collect monthly. And if there's any feedback needed or, you know, time requirements for us to prepare things, it can be a lot of work for the staff to get that ready. So yeah, I do understand that part also. Also,
Yes, and
requirements with some changes, you know, now's a good time to change anything, right? But I wanted to make sure that we can see the evolution of things as they're changing. We see there's a lot of things going on with the commission running, the staff running offices, running meetings. So in reality, yeah, I understand. So um, for the future, you know, I do understand that this can be time consuming, but thank you.
absolutely. And I'm hoping really as the commission goes through that strategic planning, that we return to the commissioners being more involved in the efforts and the work. Obviously, we can't process cases, but at the same time, you know, at least I've tried to echo that we need to be participatory in the events and you know, be there for them. And I'm hoping that this process will give us, you know, more opportunities for that and for us to be meaningful outside of just sort of, as you said, the monthly updates. And then also, you know, our legislative review process, which is a lot more interactive. So 100%. But it is mandated, it is required. So we will continue to have the monthly meetings. I think we can skip one or two a year, which is why we don't meet. I think it's August in the summer. And then there's that ability to have one that if we need to, we can cancel it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So I have to jump off for another meeting, but thank
Of
you so
course.
much, everyone, you know, the staff for all the great work that you're doing. And yeah, I remain hopeful. I know it's a challenging time, but thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. And then, as I mentioned, the strategic planning. So as it moves forward, there will be opportunities for the commissioners to participate. Commissioner Prescott has already participated in one of the meetings. Thank you. Appreciate your time and your feedback and your thoughts. So as we move forward, there'll be different opportunities. I want to make sure, in as much as possible, as many voices is being heard from the commission as possible. So if I reach out, that is why. And we'll continue to move forward to make sure that we're working collaboratively towards the future that all of us want for the commission. Is there any other new business?
Madam President, I just wanted to, I know Candace indicated that there will be an email going out later today about Winterfest. I just wanted to make sure that you all are aware of the date, that it is December the 9th. We felt like we could kind of kill two birds with one stone in reference to having the commission meeting in person and then shifting to the Winterfest. So our December 9th meeting will be in person at the commission, and then we'll shift into our Winterfest shortly thereafter, after the commission meeting on December the 9th. So I just wanted to let you all know so you all could mark your calendars, make yourselves available. And we'd love to see you all in person on December the 9th.
Thank you for that. And I just made sure I updated my calendar for that. For those that have participated in the past, you know, it's an amazing time. It's a great time to be able to connect with the staff, to have a celebration, to celebrate them. and to show our appreciation for everything that they do. It is a great opportunity also to interact with one another as commissioners in person. So I hope everybody who is able will make the opportunity to get downtown. I know that sometimes can be challenging, and be participatory. And then at that meeting, we can determine how we want to move forward with some of our live meetings. I know we haven't had one since March, but I'd like to make that a quarterly event. It would be hybrid because, as everybody knows, my biggest thing has been and will continue to be, we need to try to get more participation from the public. And I think having the opportunity for people to participate virtually is really important since our meetings are during the day. Any questions, concerns? And thank you everyone for your patience. I apologize for being late. And then if there is no other new business, do we need an executive session today? Glendora, you're muted. I'm sorry.
No, we don't need an executive session.
Great. Well, if that's the case, I will give everybody back an hour. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move for adjournment.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Everybody, please enjoy your week. We'll talk next month. Like I said, if anybody has any questions or concerns about scheduling it for Friday, please let me know so that we can take that into account. Otherwise, I will ask for an updated meeting invite.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great day.
You have a
Thank
great
you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.